Hi there, my name is Fallout, and even though I continue to grind my quote main game, which gets new content today by the way, yay, I am still deeply loving Helldivers 2, and I'm so glad I spent 40 bucks on it because it's a truly well-made and addictingly fun game. That being said, I think we might need to clear a few things up here and there. We being the general fun-loving, democracy-spreading HD2 community at large, as there's been a lot of discourse, I'll say, about loadout strength and loadout viability and what loadouts you quote should and shouldn't be using. I think feelings on Helldivers 2 loadouts came to a head a few days ago after IGN tweeted out a guide build which opened up like this.
Players in Helldivers 2 are kicking teammates who don't have meta builds. So if you want the best build to survive the front lines and avoid getting kicked, here's the build you should be rocking.
Good lord, that is absolutely horrible phrasing. First of all, it might give some otherwise normal players the idea that, oh, other people are kicking players who have non-meta loadouts? That's a good idea, I should do that. And I probably don't need to say this to the vast majority of folks watching this video, but don't normalize being shitty to other players just because they're using a loadout that you don't like or you don't think is top tier. But also, build guides should be about recommending loadout options that are either really fun and unique or damned effective, but not presented as a straight up scare tactic in the vein of, if you don't use the absolute best across the board, your teammates will literally boot you out of the fire team. That kind of thinking is just fucked, and it doesn't help anybody, and just further draws lines in the sand between people who like to run whatever and people who genuinely enjoy running the meta. Don't get me wrong, I think memes like this are funny, as long as you don't take it too seriously, but I've talked to a few people who genuinely think that anyone running Railgun in the shield pack or, quote, the meta in general, is either not a real gamer or some kind of snooty jagweed who's gonna team kill or straight boot you for not joining them on Team Elite loadout only. You can and should absolutely give people crap if they start killing or griefing you for your overall loadout choice. But I also think anybody running the meta shouldn't immediately be labeled a D-bag or thrown into the same circle as griefers or elitists. It doesn't happen super often, but I gotta admit, I do get frustrated reading comments on other YouTubers' pages and even on some of my own videos, comments that come in super hot with the tone of, "You're ruining the game," for simply recommending good options or good builds. Just as the meta folk should let the off-meta people be free to use whatever makes them happy, the off-meta folk should let the meta folk be free to use whatever makes them happy, even if that's predictably railgunning everything in sight. And believe me, I'll recommend that gun at the tip-top difficulty level repeatedly to people who genuinely want efficient loadout advice, because I do think it's the best gun in the game by a mile. But I sure as hell ain't gonna recommend being an ass or booting people from the fire team who don't copy that exact loadout. As I've seen some people put it, ain't nothing wrong with running or recommending the meta, just don't be a dick about it. And again, that goes to you too, fellow railgunners. You can finger of God bugs all freaking day, but if other people want to use what they enjoy, don't be a dick about it. TLDR, let people use what they want, and just like your friend who did some experimenting in college, it goes both ways. Besides, we're slowly getting to the point where players are figuring out how to handle high difficulty missions in Helldivers 2 more and more, regardless of their loadout. 90% of the time I'm playing right now, I'm going into the game with a pre-made team, but I'm seeing more and more players still getting it done at high difficulty with fun loadouts, and it's great to see. I've actually been thinking of doing a thing lately where I grab some bros to squad up with me on level 9 difficulty, but before we go into the mission, we spin a big wheel, and we all have to use whatever stratagems we land on. I got a whole bunch of Destiny 2 content to grind this week, but expect that stream in the near future, should be fun. Moving on, another topic I see a lot of players getting into it over: metal and requisition slip farming. Here's my 2 cents on that. Early on in making Helldivers 2 content, I put out a video on a metal and requisition slip farm, which, by the way, wasn't even the most efficient method. Just one day after making that video, I discovered the joy and ease of the level 7 difficulty automaton defend area mission. Way easier and faster with non-stop mortar bombardment, by the way. But that's besides the point. I've seen some arguing about the ups and downs of using farming methods like that in Helldivers 2, with some people saying that doing it is potentially, quote, killing the fun of the game and shouldn't be done at all. My official stance on that is this. This is a PvE game, or maybe more specifically PvJ, players versus Joel. And I think that as long as you're not actively ruining the game for anybody else, I think you're fine to play however you want. Early on, a game dev had mentioned on Reddit that quitting out of operations would count as an overall loss for Super Earth, so theoretically, players who were farming in that way were contributing to losing planets. However, later, another dev followed up to clarify that the first comment from dev Evil Boss was incorrect, and that abandoning an operation does not progress the enemy's percentage of that planet. In short, farming and leaving an operation won't actually hurt the overall war effort for Super Earth. I think at the end of the day, if you want to do a metal or requisition slip farm, you should be able to do that if you want. However, just to make sure you're not negatively impacting the overall gameplay experience for anybody else, I would recommend you farm in a pre-made fire team of 4 organized through LFG Discord or playing with friends or whatever. That way you aren't coming and going through random players' fire teams like a goddamn revolving door. At the end of the day, Helldivers 2 is a damn fun game, and as long as your experience isn't completely fucking up anyone else's experience, I think you should play however the hell you damn want and just have fun. Hit that notification bell to be alerted for future content. Thank you very much for watching. Peace!